What if I told you that we are accidentally conducting the largest uncontrolled experiment on childhood in human history? And what if the preliminary results are in and they are terrifying? For the last decade, we've watched rates of teen anxiety and depression skyrocket, and we've blamed everything around us, from school pressure, parenting styles, to politics. But what if the cause is not something vague in the air? What if it's something specific, something in their hands right now? In his essential new book, The Anxious Generation, social psychologist Jonathan Haidt presents a powerful and a terrifyingly clear argument. We have overprotected our children in the real world and underprotected them in the virtual one. And the result is a mental health crisis of epic proportions. He argues we have made a catastrophic swap. We have traded the play-based childhood for the phone-based childhood. And the mental health of an entire generation is the price. If you are a parent, or if you care about the kids in your life, this is not just another book. This might be one of the most important books you will ever read. First, let's start with the core argument, the Great Rewiring. So what is the book's central thesis? Haidt argues that children was fundamentally rewired in the early 2010s, and we can pinpoint it almost exactly. He calls it the Great Rewiring of Childhood. He identifies two massive simultaneous shifts: the decline of play-based childhood. Starting in the 1990s, we began taking away our kids' independence. We stopped letting them roam, play unsupervised, and solve their own conflicts. We replaced free play with adult, supervised, and structured activities. And the result, kids lost their essential, real-world social skills that come from scraping a knee or figuring out how to share a toy without a referee. Parents who try to raise their children in a bubble of perfect hygiene are harming their children by blocking the development of their anti-fragile immune systems. The rise of the phone-based childhood. And then around 2010 to 2015, we had made the real world ultra safe. We handed them a supercomputer connected to the wild west of the internet. We have moved them from play-based childhood to phone-based childhood. And we did it with almost no warnings, no guidelines, and no understanding of the psychological consequences. The phone-based childhood replaces the play-based childhood, and it's making our children sicker and weaker. These two shifts created a perfect storm. We took away the real-world gem where they can build social and emotional muscles, and we dropped them into a virtual world that is often hostile, addictive, and full of social landmines. Now let's move on to the 4 foundational harms. Haidt doesn't just give you a vague warning. He breaks down exactly how this phone-based childhood is harming our kids. He identifies 4 foundational harms. Social deprivation. Kids are spending hours alone in their rooms, connected to people online, but disconnected from the people right in front of them. They're not learning to read facial expressions, tone of voice, or body language. And this is not just loneliness, it's a form of sensory and malnutrition. They are starving for real, embodied connection. In 2020, we began telling everyone to avoid proximity to any person outside their bubble. But members of Gen Z began social distancing themselves as soon as they got their first smartphone. Only the youngest age group shows a sharp drop before the 2020 data collection, which was performed after COVID restrictions had begun. Sleep deprivation. This one is simple but devastating. The smartphone is the ultimate sleep thief. It's right in their hands, pinging with notifications and emitting blue light and offering endless scrolling. Hate cites study after study showing the direct link between device use in the bedroom and chronic sleep deprivation, which is a massive driver of anxiety and depression. Attention fragmentation. Our kids' brains are being trained to flit from stimulus to another every few seconds. The constant notifications, the rapid-fire editing on TikTok, and the endless feeds. It's shredding their ability to focus deeply. And without a deep focus, how can they learn complex subjects, read a novel, or even have a sustained, meaningful conversation? In a phone-based life, we are exposed to an extraordinary amount of content, much of it chosen by algorithms and pushed to us via notifications that interrupt whatever we were doing. Addiction. This is not a metaphor. Tech companies design their platforms to be addictive, using variable rewards, like a slot machine, to hook users. Hate explains that this hijacks the brain's dopamine system, making kids literal addicts. Their motivation gets rewired to seek digital validation, likes, comments over real-world achievements and connections. When you eat a potato chip, you get a small hint of dopamine, which is why you then want the second one, even more than you wanted the first one. It's the same with slot machines. A win feels great, but it doesn't cause gambling addicts to take their earnings and go home satisfied. Rather, the pleasure motivates them to keep going. It's the same for video games, social media, shopping sites, and other apps that routinely cause people to spend far more time and money than they had intended to spend. The neural behavioral of addictions to social media and video games is not exactly the same as chemical addictions to cocaine. Nonetheless, they all involve dopamine, craving, and compulsion. The creators of these apps use every trick in the psychologist's toolkit to hook users as deeply as slot machines hook gamblers. This section hit me like a ton of bricks. It's not that kids are weak. They are swimming in a toxic digital environment that is designed to be this way. We've given them a product that is fundamentally at odds with their healthy development.
So you're being socialized by random weirdos on the internet who have no particular wisdom, most of them. They were selected by algorithm for their extremity.
The collective action problem, the solution. Now here's where most parents get stuck. We feel powerless. We think, if I take the phone away, my child will be the only one without it. We feel they will be socially isolated. Hate brilliantly reframes this. It's not an individual failure. It's a collective action problem. No single parent can solve this alone. The solution, he argues, is for communities of parents to band together and set new norms. He proposes 4 new norms that we all should be fighting for. Norm number 1, no smartphones before high school. Give them a basic phone for texts and calls until they are older, more mature, and their brains have had more time to develop. No social media before 16. This is non-negotiable. The data is clear that social media is most harmful for younger adolescents. Phone-free schools. Schools should have locked phone pouches or a strict no-phone policy. The classroom should be a sanctuary for learning and human interactions. Norm number 4, more independence, free play, and responsibility in the real world. We need to give childhood back to our kids. Let them get bored. Let them go to the park. Let them get a part-time job. Do chores. This builds resilience and competence. The path to a more resilient generation requires sending them out into the real world to play, to take risks, and to take responsibility. And this is not about raising Luddites. It's about raising healthy, well-adjusted humans who can use technology as a tool, not be used by it as a master, addressing the pushback. Now I can already hear some pushback, and it's important to talk about it. Maybe you're thinking, my kid needs a phone for safety, or Isn't it technology essential for their future? Or even, it's too late for my teenager. The ship has sailed. Hate tackles these head on. First, safety. A basic flip phone that texts and calls solves the safety concern, without giving them a portal to the harmful parts of the internet. It's about the right tool for the job. Second, tech literacy. Using a computer for homework, coding, or creative projects is fundamentally different from the passive, addictive consumption of TikTok and Instagram. And remember, we're raising critical thinkers. And finally, is it too late? The beautiful, hopeful answer is no. The brain remains plastic throughout adolescence. When we roll back the phone-based childhood and replaced it with real-world connection and responsibility, we see remarkable recoveries in mental well-being. It's never too late to course correct. And the goal is not to eliminate the digital world, but to restore a healthier balance with the real world. So why every parent should read this book? Because it replaces anxiety with understanding, helplessness with a clear path forward. It gives you the data, the language, and the moral courage to say, this ends with me. It's not about blaming parents. We all did the best we could with the information we had. But now we know better, and this book is that better. But here is the most important part. This change starts with us. We can't tell our kids to put their phones down if we are constantly scrolling hours. We have to model the behavior we want to see. And I know how hard it is because I have been through it myself. And that is why I created an entire video series called How to Break Up with Your Phone, based on the amazing book of the same name. In that 6-part playlist, I walk you through the exact same steps that I took to break up my phone addiction and to take back the control of my attention and my time. Because this is not just about saving our kids, it's about rebuilding a healthier childhood for an entire generation. It all starts with us being brave enough to set the boundaries they cannot set for themselves. I'll leave a link to that playlist right here and in the description below, starting with our own phones. See you there.